Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast brought to you by DraftKings. Put down $5 on any of these games tonight and get $150 in free plays if you're a new customer. All right. Now, joined by the most improved player from the beginning of one season till the end. If there was a statistic for it, I think AJ Bramlett would certainly be at the top. How you doing there, AJ?
I'm doing good, Mike. Good to see you, my man. How you doing?
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you hopping on here.
Of course.
First, let's talk a little bit, because like I warned you about, we're going to nerd out a lot on past memories. But let's first talk about a little bit about what you saw this year from this Wildcats team. Obviously a new era with Tommy Lloyd, but what did you just see?
I mean, overall, I think the season was just incredible, man. From the way that we started off to, people not picking us, very high in the Pac-12 to, being unranked to start the season, to having a bunch of unproven guys that really, had a little bit of success for a few of them, but not anything like we saw this year, to a first-year head coach and Tommy Lloyd, to, the upheaval in the program over the past few years and what we have been dealing with, to what we ended up with as a season. I mean, I don't think as an Arizona fan you could ask for anything more. I mean, the guys were incredible, incredible human beings on the court, incredible players. Incredible human beings off the court, incredible players on the court. The coaching staff, did an amazing job pushing these guys to their full potential. And, I just don't think you could ask for anything more as a fan of Arizona basketball. And I feel like very comfortable with where our program is at after this season.
It felt a little bit like, what I've always maintained, I've always felt from about 88 to 03, no matter what metric you wanted to use, that Arizona basketball was one of the top 5 programs in the country.
Absolutely.
Whether you look at Final Fours, wins, title, whatever. But when you guys were playing, I always felt that, all right, if Arizona goes into the game with a better team, sooner or later, they're going to hit you. Sooner or later, that run's going to happen. And you know what? You went up to get a hot dog or something. And oh, by the way, it went from being a 4-point game to a 25-point game. Right. And this was the first time that I had kind of seen a little bit of that old era come back right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. They had a lot of similarities to, our teams of the past. And, especially, not as much our 97 team, but our 98 team that obviously we didn't win it. But that team, we would go on, 27-0 runs, 30-0 runs on teams. And, this team had that explosive capability, which was extremely fun to watch. I thought just the overall, a style of basketball that we played this year is something that, fans loved. As alumni, we loved it. Fast pace, getting up and down, scoring points, playing good defense, everything. And just really the freedom with which they played was just something really fun to watch this year.
When you watch big men play, and the reason I'm asking you, obviously, this is Christian Koloko is another big guy that really improved. He went from basically being kind of a 5-and-5 guy that struggled to hold on to the ball to being one of the better big men in the country. When that happens for somebody, like you or for Koloko, does it just hit? Is it just repetition? Take us through kind of the process of the big man maturation.
Yeah, when I look at CeeLo, I do see some of myself in him of his progression and, where he started from. And, really it's a testament to him. It's a testament to the coaches. And it's really just, it shows the amount of work that he put in, because that's what it is. I mean, it just boils down to you being willing to put in work every single day, even if you don't see the results at first, even if they don't come right away, but you're still committed to going in there every day, working hard in the weight room, working hard on your skill set, believing in what the coaches are trying to tell you and teach you. It's all a combination of those things. And if you do that every single day and you have that mindset, at some point that green light's going to turn on. And when it happens, you just love to see it. And you saw it with CeeLo, obviously, this year. I mean, he went from, a guy that, everyone thought maybe, he could be a really good player for us. I don't know if everyone thought he was going to be, an NBA guy or even going to be the player that he was at the end of the season. And that's a testament to him. Like he improved so much. And really, with big guys, a lot of it's confidence. You know what I mean? You could see him believing in what he had, the tools that he had, the physical tools, his skill set. He shot really well from the line this year, which is another sign, of his confidence. And so I just love it, man. Like, I love CeeLo as a person. Like, he did a heck of a job for us this year. And now I think he's making the right decision, with taking his talents to the next level and, seeing what he can do at that level, because he's proven everything he can do, at U of A, I think.
I think what's fascinating too about him is that there's a lot of guys who are shot blockers, and Lauren Woods to me is always kind of the apex when I look at shot blockers at the U of A. But by the way, he redshirted your senior year, correct?
Well, yeah, I had Lauren on my podcast. We were talking about this. It's like I thought it was going to be a super easy year for me. I'm a senior. Like I'm going to just cruise and do well. And Lauren blocked like 5 of my shots the first practice. I was like, oh my gosh, Dub, come on, man. So he was great to go up against that year though, because I didn't play against anybody that was a better defender than Lauren in the games that we played my senior year. You know what I mean?
You know what's kind of funny? So you come in your freshman year, you're going against this physical beast in Ben Davis, and then you go on, and then obviously a ton of success in between 96, 97, 97, 98. And then you've got a guy in Lauren Woods coming in who's going to be going against you in practice too, who's a little bit of the polar opposite right there. So you saw pretty much everything there, AJ.
Oh yeah, I had the full
JB in there too.
Yep, throw JB in there, got to throw him in. But all those guys, really helped me a lot with my game. It taught me different things and how to react and how to play against bigger guys, because JB was more of a big physical guy, and so was Ben, and Dub was just everything. He was 7 foot, the longest arms, best timing ever. So all those guys helped me a tremendous amount.
What would you like to see kind of the next step for Arizona? Obviously, great season this year, but you look at the roster right now. What would you like to see? Maybe a little bit more quickness on the perimeter, a little more shooting. What would AJ Bramlett look at and say probably could use a little bit more of that?
I think shooting. I think consistent shooting will help us. I think just going through the rigors of what we went through last year in the tournament, it's going to help guys, and really running into that Houston team that was extremely physical and played at an extremely high level. I think that's going to be a great learning experience for us going forward. But I like the makeup of our guys, and I like Kerr coming back. I think Umar's going to do a great job next year, having an expanded role now with CeeLo leaving. We're going to lean on him a lot. I think Pelle Larsson's got a lot that he hasn't shown yet, that he's going to get an opportunity to show next year. And then DT, if he sticks around, which I expect him to do, I think he's going to just take leaps and bounds next year. So, I think we have a solid foundation. If we can add a little bit more size now with CeeLo being out, and then shore up that outside shooting, we're going to be in a great position for next year as well.
What would you say to, obviously, Julius Tabellas, fantastic player, had a great season, struggled a little bit, and obviously in the NCAA tournament. You guys, obviously, Michael Dickerson, one of the most talented dudes that's ever come through here, great guy, was going to have a great pro career, obviously struggled a little bit in the Final Four. Do you talk to somebody like that? Do you just say, you know what, he's got it, he knows what, how do you work through something like that?
I think it's just, for him, it's a learning experience. You know what I mean? Like, if that happens to all of us, like you go up against a team or a guy that you're like, oh, I haven't seen this before. You know what I mean? I think from a physicality standpoint, the speed standpoint, I think that's what bothers Zoo a little bit in those games, at the end of the season. Also, he was hurt. People kind of overlooked that after he hurt his ankle in that Stanford game, I don't think he ever returned to 100%. And so, I think it's going to give a lot of fire. I guarantee you that, to come back next year and, play better and be, and he did great all season long up until, those few games at the end. But I think he's going to come back just motivated, to be dominating everybody next year. That's the Zoo that we all need and love.
The guy that really surprised me this year and I was wrong on, I thought when Umar Ballo committed to the U of A, I'm like, all right, big physical guy in practice, maybe as an upperclassman get some minutes. But there was a lot of times throughout this year, AJ, where you're like, man, this guy's a monster.
Yeah. He's got a lot in his tools, in his tool bag, really. Like, he's, Umar's got soft touch, left hand, right hand. Obviously, he is physically imposing with his size, great shot blocker. And for a guy that really hadn't played a lot of minutes, coming into this year to perform at that level, I thought that was a huge positive sign for us. And so this is a big summer for him too. I think you could see him take, a lot of steps, especially on the offensive end, to be ready for next year, because we're going to have to rely on him a lot more, scoring the ball in the post with CeeLo being out. So, but I think he's ready for it. I think, obviously he loves the coaching staff. Tommy Lloyd and him have their relationship that's been, built very strongly over the years. So I look for big things for Umar too. And he's just one of my favorite personalities and players on the team too. He's just a good dude.
No doubt. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about your meteoric rise here in just a second, but DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX, like we talked about, put in $5, get $150 in free plays. My pick of the week, I like the Nets to win tonight. Tough game against the Celtics right there. Who you going with there, AJ?
I think the Nets win tonight too. I think Kyrie and KD are going to come out and do their thing. I mean, Boston's tough though. Boston, even without Robert Williams, has been playing incredible basketball, even on the defensive end. But you don't see two bad games from KD in a row ever. So I think KD is going to have a big one. Kyrie will do what he does and kind of silence that Boston crowd. And I think they get the win tonight as well.
Don't listen to me. Listen to AJ Bramlett right there. Arizona only, 21 and up. Gambling issue, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. They'll get you taken care of. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about being the hunted. Now, when you signed with Arizona, you're coming in 95, 96. The previous year, you got Damon Stoudemire, obviously on the cover of Sports Illustrated. You could make the case one of the 2-3 best players in school history. Final Four the year before with him and Khalid, and you've had a couple guys on that team. So you knew you were the hunted when you signed with Arizona, but was there ever a point when you realized you're like, man, this is a bigger game for everybody than it is for us necessarily?
I think the first game,
right?
That's just the way that it is. Like,
right.
If you're going to a place like Arizona, you're going to get everybody's best shot. That game's going to be circled on the calendar for all the teams that you play throughout the year, and that's what you want. I mean, as a competitor, you want to play at a school that, first of all, schedules games where you're going to be playing the big time games, early in the season and things like that, which Coach Olson always did. And then secondly, you just want to be competing at that high level. And Arizona obviously has done that for years and years. And, that's why we're in the place that we are as a program.
Did you ever think about staying in New Mexico and playing with Kenny Thomas?
I did. That was my, my final two were, New Mexico and Arizona. And Kenny and I played together on New Mexico Flight, our AAU team. So, that's where we all started getting recruited. We won the BCI tournament, which back in the day, there was only two big AAU tournaments. And we won the Phoenix one.
The one in Phoenix.
We won the Phoenix one. It was me, Kenny Thomas, Michael Ruffin, who played at Tulsa, played in the NBA for a long time. David Mosley played at Stanford. There's a bunch of guys. JB Bickerstaff, actually, the head coach of the Cavs.
Right.
Too. So we ended up winning that. That's when we all started getting recruited. And so, but Kenny and I had always talked about wanting to play together. But, it came down to, I wanted to go to Arizona. Coach Olson offered me the scholarship, and, I made the best decision that I ever made. It worked out good for Kenny, too, but it still would have been fun to play together because we did actually play really well together chemistry-wise.
The player you're most synonymous with, with Arizona basketball, Jason Terry. You guys come in together. Did you hit it off immediately? Tell us a little bit about just kind of your personality connections with a guy who you could make the case is the greatest pro to come through U of A.
No, I would make that argument too, but actually, the first time we ever met was actually in Albuquerque. There was an All-Star game, the Reebok All-American game that came through Albuquerque, and JT played in it, and I played in it. So the first time we ever met was in Albuquerque during that game, and we played against each other. We were on opposite teams, and so walking through the mall, that's the first time I met him. And, ever since then, it was just like it clicked, man. He was my guy from that moment on. And so, he and I were the only ones in our class. So obviously, we spent a lot of time together. We lived in Navajo Pinal, you know what I mean?
For sure.
The football stadium. We had all those trials and tribulations, no car, no nothing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Teddy Bruschi actually gave us his Honda scooter when he left. When he left.
Wow, okay.
That was our only mode of transportation. So people used to see us tandem riding that gold Honda scooter around the campus sometimes, man.
That's fantastic.
Actually. So thanks, Teddy, for that. We appreciate that. But, JT's just JT, man. Like, he's a winner. The guy is, for, his size, he's not very tall. He's obviously extremely fast. But the thing that, I love about him most is just his clutch moments, man. The guy is not scared of anything and never has been. And so, he's always the one that, if you need an ice cold shot or you need to ice a game or whatever you need, play to win a game, that guy's a winner, man.
The thing that I always remember about him, there's a couple of things. First and foremost, and we'll get to, when Miles is ineligible but then comes back. But look at it this way. You're Jason Terry. You're playing good ball to end your freshman year. I think you had a nice game against Washington. Yep. And then you got Mike Bibby coming in. And it's like everybody knows Mike Bibby's starting. I mean, you don't come in, and I would imagine you guys knew that too. JT, though, Miles Simon's academically ineligible for the first semester. JT plays the lights out. You guys are ranked number 9 when Miles comes back. JT goes right back to the bench, and we don't see him start until a senior when he's National Player of the Year. I mean, you talk about a guy that took a lot of sacrifices that I don't know that I would have done there, AJ.
You talk about a guy that has extreme belief in himself.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It's because he didn't question whether that was going to affect him, trying to get to the league or, affect, his success at Arizona. He knew that he was still going to be able to produce and do what he did. And that was the best thing for the team at that time, for the chemistry and the makeup of that team. He knew that was the best move for him. And so he did it. And that is a sacrifice. When you're going from starting to playing all those minutes, he still played a lot of minutes. That's not
right, for sure.
To not play, but it's still a hard thing to do. And, he did that. Credit to him.
All right, I got to now. You got to tell me your journey, though. We've got to talk because, again, throughout the year, you would hear a lot of rumblings. Oh, great perimeter. If they just had a big, I remember there was a Hansen article. We talked about this before, where he's like, well, just imagine if they had Calvin Booth or something like that.
Yeah, right.
You guys hit the tournament though, and not only obviously struggle with South Alabama, College of Charleston, but that's really when you came alive right there. College of Charleston, then you go on to Kansas where you're playing Rafe LaFrentz, Scott Pollard. Then you've got obviously Providence. You've got Austin Crozier, North Carolina. You became a star. And what clicked for you? Because there had to have been a moment where you're like, I'm good. There had to have been that moment or something.
Yeah, I think, just like I said about CeeLo, it was like just a progression of like little moments of success that just built and snowballed. And then people will always look to like when I broke the backboard in practice, before the Oregon game or whatever that was, that was kind of the moment that changed. And that was just kind of a coincidence. But it was just hard work, man. It was just hard work. And really my teammates believing in me. And then once you start, they start trusting you, giving you the ball a little more, you start scoring and, you feel like, okay, I can do this. All the stuff that I've been doing in practice and working on with Coach Johnson and, and Coach Roz and all those things that I've been doing, now it's translating into success in the games. And then once you get that, and all of us are talented. If you're playing in Arizona,
right.
You're the best guy in your state or best guy in your team for sure. And so you just got to get that comfort in the team setting. And then once your teammates empower you, like and Coach Olson empowered me, then it was just sky's the limit after that. Then I just opened up, just played free, man. Because when the best players play with no conscience, they just play. And so if you're not thinking and you're just out there doing what you can do, you're going to have tremendous success. And that's what I was able to do during that 6-game run. I wasn't thinking. We were all just out there playing.
Yeah, but the thing about it, you didn't stop at that 6-game run. You became that guy. And then let's talk a little bit. You go into your senior year then. It's you and JT. You've got a recruiting class coming in where you got a Michael Wright, you got a Richard Jefferson, a Reuben Douglas. I mean, you got a lot of talent coming in. Yeah. But Arizona, as has happened before, people are like, well, you lost Mike, you lost Miles, lost Michael Dickerson, Bennett, all those guys. And yet here you are, you're playing, you're running up and down with Stanford for that Pac-12 title right there. Did you know that they're sleeping on us a little bit here?
Yeah, of course. I mean, and kind of it was similar to, JT and I's freshman year where, they lost Damon and nobody was really expecting a lot of
unranked going into the year.
Going into the year. Yeah. And so, we kind of had that kind of blueprint before, but JT and I were excited to have, our time. We had came in together, we had gone through, being the young guys on the team, gone through playing with, our great teammates to that time. And now it was our turn to kind of get a chance to lead the program. And we were ready for that. And we had talent. Like you said, we had Rich, we had Luke Walton. We had a really good squad. But it was our time to kind of be those leaders and pass on what we had learned throughout our years at the Arizona program to the guys ahead of us. And then, that worked for them too. They had tremendous success moving forward too. But it was a difficult year a little bit, just mixing that together. But those guys were, hell of a players and worked their butts off that year.
I knew that you guys were going to be good when you had that first game against Tennessee. And keep in mind, at that point, Tennessee had brought in a great recruiting class. You had Tony Harris. You had Hathaway. I think another guy, blanket on another guy. And JT is just going mano-a-mano at the end, and it almost becomes a one-on-one game. And I'm like, man, he's going to have a season for the ages. Now, again, I didn't know that he was going to be the National Player of the Year. But, you guys just really clicked. And again, that was a special era right there because you always felt that you knew every player. You felt like you knew what they were going through. You and JT are great friends. Michael Wright's kind of the quiet Chicago native that just wants to play. Richard's all over the place. I mean, you really did play in an amazing era there, my man.
I did. I mean, across my 4 years, I mean, those are some of the best, to be honest, the best relationships that I still have to this day with those guys. And so it was just a good mix of people from all over the country, but similar values. I mean, that's what Coach Olsen really recruited all of us to be. He picked personalities to fit together, not always the best player, the highest ranked. Will your personality fit with these guys? And that's what made the experience so enjoyable. It's because all those guys are my brothers, man, all of them. And so, that's something that you really value more and more as you get older. Is the basketball was great, the games were great, but really the relationships that you're able to build with people are what matter the most. And that's what, I really got at being a U of A Wildcat for sure.
Right. All right. I want to talk to you about your coaching here in just a second. Again, DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX, put down $5. You get $150 in free plays if you're a new customer, if that team even wins, or it doesn't even matter if that team wins. AJ, I put down $50 on the Heat before the season to win the title. Okay. I like, again, number 1 seed, not really a lot of people picking them, but we'll see where they go right there.
I like that. I put 50 on the Bucks to win last year, and I did that again this year. So
I was going to say that's not a bad pick right there.
Good work. We'll see how they do this year, but they got a shot.
I've always been curious about people like yourself when you get into coaching. So you're a Division I player. You're an all-conference type guy, one of the best big men in school history. But how are you able – so you could do things that the average kid just couldn't do, just physically. How do you temper that at the same time trying to impart the skills that you do have?
That's an excellent question. And, I really had to, learn that because when I first started coaching, when I first stopped playing,
right.
Like I was trying to show people what to do. And, I could do it easily, you know what I mean? Whether it was even just a layup for kids or whatever, that came naturally to me. I really had to learn how to teach and how to connect with, especially kids, because I've coached, youth for a long time now, and make their brains kind of understand the movements and kind of break basketball moves down into like a science or a number game where you're teaching them step by step on how to develop as players and how to learn moves and things like that. But my most important thing that I coach with every single day is positivity. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just really imparting, it's okay. Try your best, do what what as well as you can, and keep working your ass off every single day. You know what I mean? And that's it. Because if you have someone teaching you the right things, but you have a positive attitude and be a good teammate. That's the other thing that, number one, if you're going to play for me, you got to be a good teammate. You got to cheer for your teammates, got to help them up off the floor. You got to be happy for guys when they have success, even if you're not getting as much, play. Jason Terry, perfect example right there. But it's tough. It is tough because you want to show them things that, maybe they just can't do yet. And so I had to learn that. I learned from a guy called Gannon Baker. That's one of the best, basketball trainers, in the world. Has been doing this for years. Obviously from Coach Olsen. I went back and kind of looked at all the stuff that we did, fundamental things, and we're able to, impart that into my program and use now. And I use a lot of stuff that we did even in college with our seventh grade team right now.
Right. All right, AJ, before I sign off, you've got an amazing podcast yourself where you get a lot of great guests, a lot of fun back and forth. Where can people find that?
So yeah, the podcast is Bear Down Ballers. It's on, anywhere where you find your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere. And so our actual last episode was, at the end of the season. I'll be back in November again for another season 2. So really looking forward to that. But it was just an awesome experience this year, man. It was super fun to just relive all these moments just like we're doing right now. And then, next year will be even better with new players, new opportunities. And I'm just looking forward to continuing it on and building it year by year, man. So it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate the support from you as well.
AJ, I can't thank you enough. Let's talk again this summer. Again, it's always a privilege talking to somebody that I grew up idolizing. I appreciate you, my man.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. Anytime you need me, there, Mike. Keep doing what you do, man.
Yeah, thanks again. AJ Bramlett, I'm Mike Luke. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.